Hi there, Shannon here with Genesis Balance. If you're new to my channel, I want to say welcome. And if you have been here before, I want to say welcome back and thank you so much for your support. So in my previous video, I discussed what it's like to be in a high risk category for COVID-19. And I talked about a lot of different things. I talked about the anxiety, the fear of the unknown, the loss of control, the anger, and the isolation. In this video, I wanted to kind of get into some tips and tricks that can help you if you are going through those emotions due to the pandemic or someone that you know and care about are. So stay tuned because these tips are going to help you live your best life. So like I said in my previous video, that video was on what it's like to be in a high risk category during the COVID-19 pandemic. I talked about the anxiety, fear, loss of control, anger, and isolation, and kind of how it feels to be on the outside, almost outside looking in on this pandemic, how it feels to have people around you kind of feel like you are going overboard with your precautions and really doing the most when everyone else is focused on reopening and finding a new normal and getting back to normal and pushing forward. How that isolation feels and things of that nature when you realize that you are very much in the minority of that demographic. So some of the things that I have found helpful is, one, practicing self-care. I know that if you watch any of my videos, I've probably literally said it in every single video, but I can't stress it enough. Self-care is so important, especially right now. So for instance, I don't remember who I was talking to, but someone was saying that they wanted to take vacation, but they can't really go anywhere. So they kind of was on the fence about whether or not they wanted to take time away from work since they were already working from home. But that is a perfect time and a prime example of when to take self-care and how to do self-care. So even though you may be at home, you may be self-isolating, self-quarantining, whatever term you want to use, if you are in this high-risk category. Even though that may be the case, that doesn't mean that you can't practice self-care. You can take a bubble bath, you can read a book, you can listen to some music, you can listen to Audible, to a story or something like that, listen to a podcast. There are several ways that you can practice self-care even while you're staying at home. So my number one tip is going to be to practice good self-care. The next thing that I would say to do is to make sure that you are still getting out of the house, but doing it safely. So what I mean by that is, even though I personally won't go necessarily into a grocery store, I will still do grocery pickup, or I'll do a curbside pickup, that kind of thing. Not so much specific to the items that I need, but just so that I can drive my vehicle, get out of the house, and still do it in kind of a safe space, as safe of a space as possible. One thing that I really like is to go to Sonic. And so the reason why I really like using Sonic during this time to get out of the house safely is because they have it set up where you can actually order through the app, pay through the app, and then the only interaction you have to have is with the car hop that brings you your food. So I can do all of that, get my food, sanitize my hands right there. And then the great thing is I can also eat in my car there because Sonic is a drive-in. And so I kind of feel like I'm still able to get out of the house. I'm still being safe. I'm still taking my precautions, and I'm in my little safety bubble of my car, if you will. But I am still getting out of the house. Another thing that you can do that I am actually really excited about the prospect of and kind of looking into is doing something like a drive-in movie theater. So I know that they've been kind of popping up all over the place, and they're kind of bringing it back, and it's just kind of been revitalized because of the social distancing and everything else that's going on. So there are things that you can do to safely get out of the house, and whatever activities that you are doing, if you can do it in a safe manner that does not put you at even higher of a risk, if you're already in a high risk category, then I definitely suggest that you do that. Another thing that I would suggest you make sure you're doing, in addition to getting out of the house safely, is make sure you're talking to family and friends. Isolation is a very real factor of this pandemic for really everyone, but specifically to those of us that are high risk for contracting COVID 19, because everyone else is starting to move into a phase of getting back out and, starting to reopen and doing more and more social activities and things of that nature. It just makes that isolation feel all the more um, all the more worse, because now people are starting to do things and having get-togethers outside and things of that nature, and I still can't participate necessarily because I am at a higher risk of contracting the virus. And so making sure that you stay in touch with family, you stay in touch with friends. I would encourage you to use something that you could still talk face to face, either FaceTime, chatting on your phone, Zoom, any of those platforms. I know a lot of people are going through what's being referred to as Zoom fatigue, but even if you are kind of over the video conferencing thing at this point in time, that doesn't mean that you can't send a text message or pick up the phone and call someone and just kind of get out of your own head for a little while. And if you are not one of the people that are high risk, but you know and care about someone who is, make sure to check in on them, because I guarantee you that if they're anything like me, they are definitely feeling that isolation piece right about now. I know hearing about people doing things over the weekend, especially with the 4th of July just passing, there were people that did, kind of step out and, test the waters with having events or just hanging out in small groups and things of that nature. And I wasn't one of those people. I couldn't be one of those people. And so the isolation really kicks up for you then, and you really kind of start to pay attention to just how different your life is. So make sure you're reaching out to them. And if you are the one that's feeling isolated, make sure you're reaching out to your family and friends and talking to them. You can talk to them about how you're feeling, or you can just talk, just chat. Because either way it's going to be beneficial. And then the last tip I have is to gratitude journal. Practice gratitude. During these times, or really any times, it's very easy for our mind to kind of get stuck and ruminate on the negative. When something bad happens, our mind basically catalogs that in the forefront of our mind, and it's actually kind of a protection. It's a protective mechanism to make sure that that doesn't happen again. And so our mind is going to focus in on what went wrong, what's bad, everything negative. But the problem with that is, especially when you're in a situation like this, there is no answer. There's no fixing it, at least not right now. There's not really much we can do. So instead of keeping it in the forefront of the mind and using that information to change your future behavior, it's just there. It's just a negative thought that keeps coming back, that you're kind of constantly stuck on. So to break that cycle of negativity, I encourage you to practice gratitude journaling. And I always tell people, just start out with at least 3 things that you are thankful for. 3 things that you can say, I am grateful for. And I know that once you get started, you'll probably be able to fill up the whole notebook, honestly. But it will take some time to actually start digging through your thoughts and your memories and your feelings to find the things that you're actually grateful for. So I would strongly suggest that you practice gratitude journaling as a way to kind of break the cycle of the negative thinking and kind of get yourself on the path of thinking pleasant thoughts, thinking about the good things in your life. And so gratitude journaling will do that for you. So that's self-care, getting out of the house safely, talking to family and friends, and gratitude journaling to get your mind off of the negatives that are going on around you. So those are the tips that I know I use personally, and they've been very helpful. And I hope that if you are in the high risk category for COVID-19, you know what it's like. So I hope that these tips will help you and you can use these, and it makes it a little bit easier for you to manage and deal with your feelings and what you're going through right now. And if you're not in the high risk category, now you know what it's like, and you can maybe be a little bit more understanding to those around you that are in high risk categories. And now that you know the tips, you can help them through this process a little bit more. You can reach out to them and kind of know what they're going through and how to help them manage it. So if you found this content helpful, if you found this video beneficial, you learned something that maybe you didn't know, you picked up a tip that maybe you didn't have before, please by all means click the like button below. If you're new to my channel and you have not yet done so, please make sure you remember to subscribe to the channel and click the bell for notifications, because like I said earlier, it's my goal to make sure that I am providing lots and lots of content that's really going to enrich your life. So until next time, here's to you living your best life.